Welcome inside Salee Hall for the newest episode of Leatherneck Insider. My name is Austin Holznagel.
And I'm Kobe Blackman. In men's basketball news, WIU Director of Athletics Paul Bubb has named Chad Buttrow the interim men's basketball head coach, effective immediately, after the sudden departure of head coach Rob Jeter, who just signed a deal to be the next head coach at Southern Utah University. Buttrow has been the associate head coach for the Leathernecks for the past 3 seasons under Jeter. During this 3 season at Western as well, Jeter departs WIU with a record of 44-66, including back-to-back 16-win seasons and 23-43 record at conference play with the Leathernecks.
We now move to Mary Ellen McKee Stadium as the WIU softball team went 0-3 against the St. Thomas Tommies last weekend. Although the Leathernecks sit 1-5 in conference play, there have been some bright performances from several players this season. Leatherneck insider reporter Caden Strenz talked with Georgia Ray about the team's recent performances so far.
Sophomore Georgia Ray is leading the team in conference play with 2 home runs and 7 RBIs. Here's what she had to say about her recent success.
It's honestly our coaching staff, and it is the girls behind me. We are a humongous, big family, and as far as our coaching staff getting us ready for North Dakota State, as far as machines in here working all throughout the week, they got us ready for everything that we were going to see from the pitching staff. And then honestly, it was a clean slate coming into conference play, knowing that I had absolutely no worry in the world, that I knew that my girls were going to be behind me the whole time.
The Leathernecks open up a 3-game series at South Dakota this weekend. Georgia Ray looks ahead to the matchup.
Today, we threw a lot of drop balls, and I know that our girls can handle drop balls very well. We set it up to what we'll be seeing this weekend, and we absolutely crushed it today. So I'm not worried as far as what they're going to throw at us, because I know that Coach Goller and Coach Collin will get us ready for anything that we're about to see.
Georgia Ray shows her appreciation to her teammates and her coaches.
The girls, we have an absolute blast in the dugout, and I love playing loose, and I love having fun. And the fact that I can look over to my teammates and, they have the big old pimp chains on and the sunglasses on, they crack me up. And knowing that I can lean on them for anything if I'm having a bad day or if I'm struggling, that they're going to have my back through all of it. And the coaching staff, they're always open and really want to talk to us and make sure that we're in the right mental headspace and physical headspace to do what we can do.
Reporting for Leatherneck Insider, I'm Caden Strenz.
Thank you, Caden. The Leathernecks are currently in South Dakota facing the Coyotes. First pitch is set for 1 p.m. The WIU baseball team completed their first home series of the season. The South Dakota State Jackrabbits were welcomed to Alfred D. Boyer Stadium this past weekend to play a 3-game set. The Jackrabbits were able to take Game 1 6-3, but the Leathernecks quickly answered in Game 2, tying the series at 1 apiece. After a 14-4 win in only 8 innings, the Jackrabbits took the rubber match 8-6 to take this 2-1 series victory. The Leathernecks are back home April 18th to play the SIUE Cougars and then have a 3-game series against the University of Northern Colorado from April 21st to the 23rd.
The WIU men's and women's track and field teams were in Carbondale, Illinois this past weekend. At the Bill Cornell Invite in Southern Illinois University, the teams walked away with 3 event wins. Aaliyah Adams had a personal best jump of 5.97 meters, giving her the first place in the event, and made her the fifth best long jumper in school history. Romeo took first place in the pole vault, and Aaliyah Cesar won the women's steeplechase while also running the 9th fastest in school history. The Leathernecks are now headed to Edwardsville, Illinois today for the SIUE Cougar Classic. Congrats, Leathernecks, and good luck to all competing today.
The biggest golf event of the year just came to a close. Leatherneck Insider's Luke Little is going to break it down for us when we return.
Not W?
It's not W, it's W. 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 That's what I've been stressing out about the most so far. It's saying W because I know it's something you're going to say there. Yeah, we've been there.
They're like, we're waiting on, what are we waiting on?
They haven't said anything. So we're ready to go. We can start.
Hello, everyone. I am Will Thomas.
And I'm Dane Mackley. Welcome to this week's edition of Leatherneck Insider.
The Western Illinois men's golf team competed in the Stampede at the Creek tournament in Omaha, Nebraska earlier this week. Placed at 7 overall, Parker Governor tied for 10th place with a score of +1. David Ayala tied for 22nd place with +4. Nathan Tillman tied for 35th place with +7. Dylan Cervantes tied for 37th place with +8. Ryan Rokos tied for 39th place with +9. And Baden Habacher placed 45th with a score of +12. The men's golf team will be competing in the Iowa Hawkeye Invitation later on today. Good luck, gentlemen.
And WIU women's golf was also in Omaha, Nebraska earlier this week as they competed in the Stampede at the Creek as well. The Lady Leathernecks took 6th place overall with a +53 score as a team. Senior Katie Tanner led the charge for the Leathernecks, finishing in a tie for 4th place individually while also earning her first hole-in-one on Tuesday in round 2. Kelly Wu finished at +12, tied for 16th, followed by Olivia Kerr, who finished tied for 31st and was +17. Abby Hunter, who was tied for 36th, finished with +21. The team will be in Carmel, Indiana to start the Lady Jaguar Invite, with the first round being today, followed by round 2 tomorrow. Well, while the Masters came to a close last Sunday, it had everything from Tiger Woods to an amateur finishing in the top 20 and almost making a run at that green jacket. Without further ado, let's go to Luke Little to help us wrap up the Masters. Luke, what more can you tell us about this awesome event?
Well, Austin, beginning last Thursday, the first of this year's 4 major golf championships took place at the Masters. There are many great stories this year between Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, and Rory McIlroy, all of them competing very well at the Masters this year, but none of the stories are greater than the stories of Sam Bennett and champion Jon Rahm. Sam Bennett, the 2022 U.S. Amateur Champion and current Texas A&M golfer, had a final score of 2 under par, which put him in 16th place, tied with 6 others in this year's Master. Bennett would put on a masterclass of golf, having 9 birdies and 1 eagle through the 4 days of golf. And after stories of his father's passing in 2021, and with the words of his late father tattooed on his arm, "Don't wait to do something," he would quickly become a fan favorite to which many have been impacted by his story. Bennett will go down in history not only for his amazing story, but also for his amazing score at this year's Masters. But even with Bennett's great score, none could compete with the now champion Jon Rahm. After scoring a double bogey on the first hole of the tournament, Rahm would go on to have a final score of 12 under par. Rahm came into the 4th and final day of golf 2 strokes behind the leader Brooks Koepka. Finishing the final day 3 under par, Rahm would win his first green jacket and his 2nd major victory of his career, also becoming the 4th Spaniard to ever do so. With Jon Rahm's 4th tournament win of this year, he now sits atop the world standings alone as the best golfer in the world.
Okay, thanks, Luke. The Masters is definitely one of my favorite moments every single year. You never know who's going to get the honor of receiving that green jacket. It could be the hottest golfer in the world. It can be the coldest, in between. And I can't wait for next year where hopefully my guy Tony Finau will be receiving his green jacket that he so deserves. What about you? Do you see anyone winning a green jacket next year?
I like to see the Tiger Woods get that green jacket every year, so hopefully he get it next year.
Well, that would be awesome. I remember his run last year. Or not last year, but a couple years ago, and that was incredible.
Coming up next, Macomb High is kicking off for their spring sports. We'll have more on the Bombers when we come back.
Western Illinois University. Our beginnings in 1902 focused on providing affordable teacher education training. We've changed with the times and excelled through the years. Today, Western is positioned for the next 100 years and beyond. Affordability of diverse academic programs, outstanding learning opportunities, and hands-on experiences provide excellent job placement for our graduates. This is Western, forever Western.
As we turn over to softball, the heat is up in the air. The Macomb High softball varsity team is at the peak of their season once again. Last season, the girls were 21-7 overall and finished off the season in the conference department 5-1, as well as being ranked 35th in the state as well. This season, we are seeing why this team is known as the Bombers, as they are blowing away every team that comes their way right now. The softball team has been rocking a perfect 11-0 record and 5-0 in conference, moving them from 35th to 6th in the state division rank. Sarah Stuffelbeam is making a name for herself, rocking a .542 batting average, as well as Quinn Kuras, who carries a .583 on-base percentage this season. The Bombers play today at noon against Farmington and then tomorrow at 4:30 against Peoria Notre Dame. Good job so far, Bombers, and good luck on finishing the season strong. With just over a month until the regional playoffs start, the Macomb High baseball team has been racking up the wins as of late to try and improve their mediocre start to this year's season. The team improved their record to 5-5 on the season this past Tuesday, beating West Prairie 26-14. The Bombers will face non-conference opponent Peoria Heights this afternoon and Bushnell Prairie City on Monday.
The Macomb High Bombers track and field team had a big matchup here in Macomb at Hanson Field. Leatherneck inside reporter Ben Palaka was at Hanson Field for the invitational matchup.
The Macomb High Bombers stayed in town as they came to Hanson Field at Western Illinois University for the Lee Calhoun Invitational on Friday, April 7th. Although this does count as an away match for the Bombers, the family and fans still showed up to see a good match. The Bombers stay strong, winning top 3 within the first few races and are looking strong. They will now head to the road at Lemphir High School before heading back home for the last time this season for Senior Day on April 18th at Macomb High Stadium. Reporting for Leatherneck Insider, I'm Ben Polanka.
Thanks, Ben, and good luck to the Bombers for the rest of the season. Don't go anywhere, as the newest episode of Schoolboy Sports is just around the corner. This week, Schoolboy and Caden are going back to the desk. You won't want to miss it.
Taking me home, taking me home.
Here, I engineer the future.
Taking me home. Bring me back.
Here, I have countless opportunities.
Taking me home. Bring me back.
Here, I do research.
Right here at Western.
Welcome back. Leatherneck Insider Athlete of the Year is officially underway. 32 athletes are up and running, and the first round of voting concluded last week. Let's take a look at the results. In Region 1, we had softball player Savannah Rodriguez go up against soccer player Angie Caniz. Rodriguez pulled away with the win and will go up against Mallory McDermott, who beat softball player Georgia Ray. In the bottom half of the bracket, we have J.R. Haviland and T.J. Limehouse advancing to the next round. In Region 2, we had Trinidad Madison beating Derek Badaleo and Kyle Owen beating Logan Lamo and by a close margin. In the bottom half, A.D. Brownfield will move on after beating tennis player Paige Grice, and Brittany Wolf will move on after beating Wanda La Cruz by just a couple votes, the closest matchup in the first round.
Now taking a look at Region 3, this features freshman track star Toriano Tate, who has really made some noise in his first year as a Leatherneck. He will advance to go up against Carly Wenzel, who has been outstanding for the volleyball team. In the bottom half, Amy Andrews, who has been arguably one of the best athletes for WIU, will advance to go up against Gabriella Drager for WIU softball, who has been one of their best hitters and defenders all season long. And now taking a look at Region 4, we have Anna Dietz, who had probably the best season of her career, averaging 12 points per game, will go up against Alec Rosner, who was a big threat from beyond the arc for the men's team last season. Two absolutely sharpshooters taking on each other right there. And next we have Maria Luna, who has been outstanding offensively and defensively for the softball team, will face off against Nick Mitchell, who leads baseball team in batting average at .432 this season. And that concludes our second round matchups. Voting is live on our Twitter at InsiderWIU. Head over there, cast your votes for this year's Leatherneck Insider Athlete of the Year. Voting ends later tonight, with the following round going up next Saturday. And now it's time for the newest episode of Schoolboy Sports. Take it away, Peyton and Caden.
Welcome back to another episode of Schoolboy Sports. I am joined once again by Caden Strenz. This week we're going to talk about the NBA playoffs. And first, we're going to start in the West with the 4-5 matchup between the Phoenix Suns and the Los Angeles Clippers. Who do you have to come out of that matchup?
I think the Phoenix Suns have the edge over the Clippers. I think they just overall have a better roster. They have Booker, Durant, and Aiden, as well as several other key factors on that team, while the Clippers have Leonard, George, and some other people to the roster as well. But overall, I think the roster is better for the Suns, in favor for them. I'm going to go with the Suns in 6. Who do you think comes out on top?
Yeah, I agree. I got the Suns coming out probably in 5 or 6 as well. I think they're just so much more talented than the Clippers. Nothing against Ty Lue or Kawhi or Paul George, but I just think they're just going to outpower them. So I got the Phoenix Suns in 6. Now, moving on to the 3-6 matchup in the West, you got the Sacramento Kings versus the Golden State Warriors. It's not really a true road game, but it is a road game in a sense. They're 90 miles apart. We all know the Warriors struggled on the road this year, but I personally think the Warriors are going to upset the Kings. I think they're going to beat them in 6.
Yeah, and I can totally understand people picking the Warriors because of their playoff experience and what they just did last year. I mean, they won the finals last year, and they're back in the playoffs here looking to repeat. It's going to be a lot tougher of a road for them. And I think that the Kings, although they haven't made the playoffs since 2006, I think because of that home court advantage, I think it's going to be a 7-game series, and I think the Kings come out on top.
Okay, so I now moving on to the semifinals. You got the Nuggets and probably the Suns or Clippers, whoever comes out of that matchup. Personally, I think I have the winner of that matchup upsetting the Nuggets. The Nuggets just have kind of fell off to end the year, and I don't see the Nuggets getting past second round this year.
Yeah, I think the Nuggets are going to struggle here in the playoffs, especially on the games where Jokic struggles, and there are not many when he struggles, but when he does, they usually don't win the game. So say he does that a couple times here and there, or the Suns, especially the Suns beat the Clippers. I think the Suns have a really good chance of beating the Nuggets. If it's the Clippers, it might be the other way around, where the Nuggets advance to the conference finals, I should say. But I think the Suns will beat the Nuggets in the second round.
I agree. I think the Suns are going to be in the Western Conference Finals, and I think that the Grizzlies will probably beat the winner of the Warriors or the Kings, just because, I mean, the Grizzlies have been solid all year long. I know they have issues with Ja Morant, but they still have a pretty solid team. And last year they lost to a tough Warriors team in the second round. So I personally think that I think the Grizzlies are going to come out on top. But I do think the Phoenix Suns are going to represent the Western Conference in this year's NBA Finals.
Yeah, as you said, I think the Grizzlies will move on to the conference finals. That is, even with all the issues that they've had, they have still been playing really good basketball, and I think they will keep that going into the playoffs here. And I think the Suns will edge the Grizzlies. I'm going to go with Suns in 6. I think that they just are the favorites out of the West, in my opinion, and I think that they'll go to the finals. And moving on to the East now.
We should do the matchups, but to be honest with you, I think the only 2 teams that should really come out of the 3 teams that come out of the West, the top 3 seeds: the Celtics, the 76ers, and the Bucks. Personally, I think in the semifinals, it's going to be the 76ers versus the Celtics. I think the 76ers are going to upset the Celtics, and I think the Bucks are going to face the 76ers in the Eastern Conference Finals with the Bucks representing. What do you think?
I feel like it's going to be the other way around. I think the Bucks will play the Celtics in the conference finals. I think the Celtics will edge the 76ers, although I can understand it going completely the other way around with the Bucks and 76ers. It would be pretty nice to see some upsets in the Eastern Conference, say like the Knicks or Nets, although that doesn't look very likely to advance. I mean, that's the only way the Eastern Conference will shake up a little bit. But I think, as you said, I think the top 3 seeds really the only possible outcomes out of the East. That's just how it goes this season. I mean, you had the Bucks, Celtics, and 76ers, and those are really the favorites. I'm thinking that the Bucks will beat the Celtics in 6 games to advance to the finals.
I got in the finals. I have the Phoenix Suns beating the Milwaukee Bucks in 7. It's a rematch of the 2020 NBA Finals, or 2021 NBA Finals. But I just think the Suns, I think they're going to get the revenge on the Bucks this year.
Yeah, and as much as I don't like having repeat matchups, especially like 2 years ago, we saw the Suns and Bucks. I just think that that's what is favored to happen. I mean, it's just look at the rosters, you look at the way they play this season, and I just think that the Bucks and Suns, that is, will be facing in the finals, and I think the Bucks will win again. I think that they beat the Suns in 6 games here in the 2023 finals. I think that they have that slight edge over the Suns.
Well, you got the Bucks, I got the Suns for the 2023 NBA Finals. That's all the time I have for you guys this week on Stool Boy Sports. I'll see you guys right back here next week on another episode of Stool Boy Sports. Now back to the desk.
Thanks, Dual Boy. Definitely some really interesting takes in that episode, but all I want to know, Kobe, is who's winning the East, who's winning the West, and who's your dark horse?
Well, if the Bulls are in, I'm going to roll with the Bulls, and out of the West, I'm going to roll with Denver. They got a pretty healthy team this year, and my dark horse team would be Sacramento. Hopefully they could beat Golden State this year.
Yeah, in the East, I got to rock with my Milwaukee Bucks. In the West, I got a good feeling it's going to be the Suns, but my dark horse out of the West, if that Clippers team can get hot, even without Paul George, I still think they can make a run in the Western Conference. Well, that's all the time we have for you today. We will be back next week with another episode of Leatherneck Insider. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at InsiderWIU. For Leatherneck Insider, I'm Austin Holznagel.
And I'm Kobe Blackman. Have a great weekend, McComb.